Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. My name is Andrew Grossett and welcome back to AG Inspires and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a bit different. It's in response to a question that I was asked yesterday morning. So the question itself was, when you're constructing your exercise days, do you just throw the exercises that you really like together, or is there a particular reason for the exercises that you put in? And the answer to that is both. I always make sure that there are some exercises in there that I absolutely love. I don't think I've got any exercises anymore that I absolutely detest or hate, but I certainly do have some favorites, and I do make sure that on any given day or any given body part that we're training, I try to make sure that at least one of those top exercises of mine that I really look forward to doing is somewhere in there, alongside the ones I'm less favored on, but see as quite essential. So with the day being a leg day, I thought, what better day to dissect than that day? So first things first, I train legs twice a week, and the reason why I train legs twice a week is quite simply because in my early days of training, I say early days, I shouldn't really say that, in my early years of training, I didn't just skip leg day. I did everything possible to avoid it. Yeah, I did. When I first started out, I strictly did the body parts that I enjoyed, or the body parts that got me the most attention. So I went immediately to chest exercises, I did shoulders, I did arms, and I did back. And I left legs because, as far as I was concerned, I was running athletics at the time. I rode my bike all the time, and I wore tracksuit bottoms all the time, and I never wore shorts. So yeah, I did everything I could. Everything possible to run away from doing leg day. And the few times that I tried it, it hurt so much I thought, you know what, forget this, I'm not doing it. So for the first, I don't know, 5, maybe even 6 years, I didn't do a squat, I didn't do a leg extension, I didn't do a leg press, nothing. So from the age of 16 up until the point of when I actually joined Fitness First and started as a PT and started learning, I didn't touch legs whatsoever. It was the last thing on my agenda. I wanted to do anything that made my t-shirt on the weekend look better, and that was that. So when I started competing, especially, obviously your legs are judged just as much as your upper half, especially when you're in the bodybuilding category. So I had to do something about it, and so therefore I tried doing various different things to try and get my legs to catch up with my upper half, because my upper half was running away with itself and my legs were straggling behind. So I had to do something. So we tried various different formulas. So I tried doing a little bit of legs every day. I did that for about 6 months. And when I say a little bit of legs, we still had a specific leg day where things like squats and stuff would be in. But I tried doing leg extensions and leg curls and calves more or less every other day on top of whatever exercise or whatever body part I was due to train on those particular days. And I did that intermittently for years, desperately trying to get my legs to catch up, just trying to get them to catch up. Then it moved on to 2 solid leg days, and then we'd have the leg day on the Sunday, which was the big arduous one that had all the big squats, the big lunges, all of those in there, and then you had the smaller leg day, which was on the Wednesday, which is just basically all the ancillary movements, and then more up to, and I carried that forward for a while. And then up to more recently, what I've decided to do is I have just a leg day structure, and we're going to go through that in a second. And I still do those exercises on both days, on both the Wednesday and the Sunday. It's just on the Sunday, everything's really aimed at getting as heavy as you possibly can, whereas on the Wednesday, especially considering the fact that we have deadlifts done on the Tuesday and my lower back's usually quite tired, it's really just going through the motions, and I, generally speaking, now go for more volume on the Wednesday as opposed to going for the bigger numbers on the Sunday. So leg day traditionally for me always starts with leg extensions. Now I do leg extensions, I spend a lot of time on the leg extension machine. Let's get that bit out there first. So I start with a single leg single leg extension. Try saying that when you've had one too many. So start with a single leg extension. So, and that's really about switching on mind to muscle connection. It's about getting blood into the muscle. It's about warming the joints themselves up and getting the fluid in the joints moving. It's just about getting body movement to begin with. So I always start really light, and it's literally up and squeeze, going through the motions on one leg to the next, one leg to the next. Generally speaking, on most days, if you've ever seen me in the gym and ever asked me this faithful question, every gym goer gets asked this when you're in the gym: how many sets have you got left? And I answer, I don't know. This is what I'm saying, I don't actually know. I'm going through the motions until it, generally speaking, I can't move it anymore, or I feel that I've got enough out of it, or the muscle's particularly tight and it's full of blood. There are several different trigger points, but I'll go until I feel that either I can't go anymore or I shouldn't go anymore. So sometimes that could be 10 sets, sometimes it could be 15. So like with regards to the leg extension machine here now that you see it on the screen, now I will go through the motions of maybe 12-15 reps on each leg, going through it and just go plate for plate for plate for plate for plate until I get to the point where it's either my form's compromised too much, or I can't move the machine on a leg, on a single leg, where I will therefore then revert to a double leg. You know, and then we'll go through the motions again, much to a similar effect, going right the way down the machine till either stack the machine or the machine stacks me, and I feel like I've got to the end and I've squeezed enough, I've got enough going through there. The other thing I'm also bearing in mind is that whilst your quads aren't a primary mover or a primary facilitator in a squat, which is the exercise I do next, they do play a part. So whilst I want to independently squeeze them, I want to independently switch them on, I want to get growth and detail into them, I don't want to obliterate them to the point where when I come to my squat, I can't switch my hands on, I can't switch my glutes on, and I'm generally just feeling awful. So get through that, you go through, as I said, go through the single legs, one leg after the other, till I get to the point where I can't move that anymore, I feel I've got enough. Then we go to the double legs, take that through its motions as well, again to get to the point where I've either feel I've had enough or can't move the machine anymore, and then we head downstairs for squats. When it comes to the actual squat itself, again, and I've stressed this to people many times over, I always start every exercise from ground zero. Doesn't matter how heavy it's gonna get, doesn't matter how well tuned to the exercise I am, doesn't matter how many years I've been doing that particular exercise, I never ever take an exercise for granted, and that means I will start from ground zero. So you see me go for a squat, you'll see me squat the bar first by itself, and then we move on in increments upwards. So on this particular day, when we got to the actual, as I said, it's a Wednesday, so we're not looking for the big squat day. The big squat day on Sunday, I'll always try and go to my max. And I mean my max, I mean like 1 rep max. So at the moment I'm hovering around, I'm fighting with a 5 plate squat. So that's where we'll go to on the Sunday. On the Wednesday, getting near to that 5 plates is less important to me. It's more about reps, it's more about squeeze, it's more about engagement, it's more about growth. So here you see I only went as far as getting as heavy as 3 plates on each side on this one, and literally hammering out 10s and 12 rep sets. And that's what the squat was all about on this Sunday. So yes, it was still challenging because the rep ranges were high, but we weren't going to that all out leave nothing left in the tank kind of squat day. That's on the Sunday, and we call that church. But yeah, no, it wasn't that kind of party today. So it was literally just going through the motions with the squat. And again, I use the squat on both the Wednesday and the Sunday. The Sunday is a squat day that I'm really aiming for, but I do feel, when I'm looking at my legs now and the amount of growth that we've managed to put on, I do feel that squatting on both days has made a massive difference to the amount of muscle I've been able to put on my lower limbs, and also the quality of muscle that's on there as well. So that's why I've got the 2 squats in there. Now, gonna touch on the squat subject for a bit, because squats are by nowhere near my favorite exercise. In fact, they're one of my least favorite ones. I squat because I have to. Again, as I said, over the time of trialing and testing several different leg exercises here, I feel that the squat itself is the one that's causing me to put on the most amount of growth. I feel that the squat itself is the one that's giving me the most amount of detail on my legs as well, and it's the one that I feel the most. So because it ticks all of those boxes, I cannot leave it out, even though it's not my favorite exercise. Even though when I'm underneath that bar and I feel the weight of that bar for the first time, I've got to psych myself through it each time. The benefit outweighs the task, so therefore it has to be in there, and that's why I have it in both on the Wednesday and on the Sunday. You know, so there you have it. Not my favorite exercise, but absolutely essential for my actual growth. So there you go. Then moving on from the squat, we've then gone upstairs and we're now hitting the leg press. Now I have tried the leg press in several different ways. I've tried them with 2 feet sort of facing this way. I've tried them with 2 feet together here, together down there for more of a quad sweep. We've tried them wide and toes pointed out for more hamstrings. But when it comes to glute activation and hamstring activation, for me, nothing beats a single leg press for me that's across the body. So it's twisted over, as you can see in the video. So we're right over on the far side. I can get really deep, and it literally does do something quite awkward to my glutes. So I love to throw the exercise in there, particularly on the Wednesday. We do it sometimes on the Sunday as well, but that's lunge dependent. As you can see in the video here, again, I take my time with it, and we're looking at more or less at least 8 sets. At least 8 sets, going up in 20 kilo increments. So we start off with 120 plate on one side, do your 12 to 15 there, 12 to 15 on the other leg, add the 20 to the other side, and go bang, 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 and bang. So then after that one, then we're moving on to your standing hamstring curl. Now this machine here, in particularly for me, we've had a love-hate relationship over the years. I hated it to begin with because I couldn't actually really get much on it. My hamstrings weren't that strong. Now as time has gone on, and I can curl more on it. I've got used to it, and I actually quite like it. This machine here, I like to literally feel the weight drag itself right the way through from the bottom to the top on the hamstring. And if you just take the pressure of the weight first before you curl it up, it'll enable you to really isolate those hamstrings nicely and get some full weight through it. So after finishing up on the standing hamstring curl, I then moved over onto calves. Now, I will say this about calves: I do calves at least 6 times a week now. At least 6 times a week. I put them on the end of every session. I don't do a massive amount on them, but I believe in doing a little and often. Again, it's worked for me. I've seen growth on my calves since I've been hitting them that frequently. I do go quite heavy on them. I bombard my calves, and the reason why I do that is because that's the only way I can get the little, I wish I had a beep noise, to grow. I've tried doing them less frequently, saw nothing. The only time that I've actually really seen much movement in them is since I've been doing them at the end of practically every workout. So I don't feature it on most videos that we put out, quite simply because it's boring saying, you know, I do calves every day. But I put it on the end of this one because it's a particular point on the leg day, and I just want to stress that out. My calves have been a bone of contention for me forever, and getting them to grow has been hard. But hitting them this frequently and hitting them heavy this frequently, like I will go to at least 80 kilos on the seated on the seated calf raise machine for 15 reps. Yeah, has enabled me to put on some size and get some strength in there and get them to grow. So we'll do that, and then straight after that, went off and did cardio. So that's my Wednesday leg routine, all said, done, and wrapped up. I hope that what I've said has made sense, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching the exercises there, and it's given you a bit of an insight into how to come up with your own exercise routines. I will say this though, if you're new to the gym, or you're new to writing exercise routines, or you're in the process of adapting and changing or advancing and evolving your current exercise routine, I would say this to you: please don't forget the muscle it is that you're aiming to hit. And what I mean by that is, make sure that you take that muscle first of all through its full range of movement within the exercise itself, but then also make sure that the exercises that you choose to put onto your program or into your program challenge the individual muscle itself in every plane of movement that it has at its disposal. Yes, put in the exercises that you like, but also don't forget that there are going to be a range of exercises that you're going to need in order to train the muscle itself effectively. Anyway, that's me out for today. See you in the forwards.